I think we're all here.
Yeah.
Did I forget somebody? I did not. I think. Oh, we have Christian as well.
We have
Oh,
Christian. Yep.
hello. I'm wondering, like, have we left somebody out? Um, Hello and welcome to another part of AWS on Air. By the way, this is a show where we talk about the latest and greatest in AWS releases, in services and features. My name is Darko. That is Sohan. We're both developer advocates, and we always have some wonderful guests. And today we're going to be talking about, drum roll please, a new instance type. Ooh. Something that combines ARM CPUs and graphics cards, so GPUs. So today we have Amr and Christian to talk to us about these things. Before we talk about the technology, Christian, introduce yourself, please.
All right, we'd love to. Yep. So my name is Christian, and I am a senior product manager at AWS, and I'm very excited to answer any questions related to our newly announced and launched Amazon EC2 G5G instances.
Ooh, you spoiled the name. Okay, Amr, tell us. I see you are joining us from. I would assume that's Las Vegas because judging
Yeah.
from your surroundings. So, but to tell us who you are, what do you do, and yeah, all that.
Yes, hello, live from reInvent. This is Amerigo. I'm a senior solutions architect on the EC2 accelerated computing team.
Excellent, excellent. So, Christian kind of spoiled the name here a bit before. I kind of spoiled what we're doing here, but do
Spoiler
tell us
alerts.
what.
Come on, guys.
Spoiler alerts. Yeah, tell us what are we launching today.
All right. Yes. So we're launching a new EC2 instance, which we're calling the G5G instance. These instances are powered by our very own AWS designed Graviton 2 processors and feature up to 2 NVIDIA T4G GPUs.
Interesting, awesome. So you get an ARM-based instance, but it has a GPU, right?
Yes, absolutely. So these instances can do all the same things as the x86-based GPU
Okay.
instances. The GPU instances in general are great for HPC, so high-performance compute workloads, for graphics workloads, and also for machine learning workloads.
So
Now,
that was my question. Like, so,
yeah.
but why do we need a GPU in an ARM-based instance? So maybe you can tell us what does this thing do?
Yeah. So where these instances will really shine is when being able to run ARM native operations are required or strongly desired. So let's take an application like Android game streaming, right?
Okay.
So Android games, they run on ARM. And so to really get the best game streaming performance, you want to run on a platform where you have ARM native operations running. And so this is just one of the examples of where G5G instances shine. We'll come back to the Android game streaming for a second, but another area where these instances really shine is when your end target also uses ARM with GPUs, such as with your autonomous vehicle simulation systems, where the end target is often an ARM processor with GPUs for the machine learning inference and so on.
Awesome, awesome. So this is a great EC2 instance, and I think it makes perfect sense. But maybe Amr can kind of show us how does this work? Like, actually seeing this do with your ARM-based Android games and all that kind of stuff. Before we get into that, we have a question here from Randall coming in. And by the way, chat, ask us questions. Yeah, we are here. Like, we want to make sure you kind of come here and ask us questions so you can get the first-hand information about a new feature. So Randall asks, do the NVIDIA T4G Tensor cores work with CUDA? Yes? No?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, short answer, yes. I was waiting for Amr to maybe step in with a longer answer, but yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. So yes, that's Randall. They do good. Amr, I'm going to bring up your screen here, so you can kind of show us what you're going to do. So first of all, can you make this a bit chunky, a bit bigger? Just zoom in if you can. in the browser?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Is that better?
Much better. Tell us what you're going to be showing us and show us.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the points that Christian made was about Android game streaming and Android gaming. So that is one of the main use cases here that we see with G5G instance families. The example here that we have here is actually from one of our partners, Canonical.
Okay.
They have a product called Anbox Cloud, which essentially allows you to stream mobile apps. Because we're on Graviton 2 ARM, they are they are byte compatible to run Android native mobile apps securely and at scale with system containers on AWS on G5G instances. The example here is a web endpoint that you can see.
Okay.
And what we have launched here is a example session. So if I go here to applications, you'll see that we're actually running an Android game called Bomb Squad. And that actually has 55 individual sessions on a single instance. So if we could actually see one of those, let's go ahead and run one of these sessions. We have the game here actually playing live. Hopefully that is smooth on your side.
It is. It is.
Okay, and what you can see here is we can have multiple player endpoints actually connecting to each of these individual sessions. Now, what you're seeing here is an example game input of Bomb Squad playing live. And one thing to point out here is the statistics. What we're doing here in terms of the architecture is we're delivering the content through a WebRTC endpoint. So this is actually going through WebRTC, and the video, the delivered frames per second is 30 frames per second. Each container is 1280 by 720 at 30 frames per second. And we have 55 of those running on a single instance. So really to the point that Christian was talking about is how do you actually optimize price per stream on this instance? And sort of in our calculations, we have found out that this is about 5 cents per stream per hour. So this is actually giving you lots of cost savings, the ability to bin pack multiple games on a single instance. And we're running 55 of these on 2 T4G GPUs on a G5G Metal instance.
So in essence, like this is just an example solution or a use case of these instances. Maybe a good question here is like, how did customers used to do this before, right? So, I mean, how were they able to do this exact same thing without an ARM instance with a GPU? Were they doing it before?
Yeah, so customers were doing this before, but to do this on an x86-based platform, they were either running emulators. So, for example, let's take one of our instances, G4DN. They were running emulators on those, and one of the drawbacks of running an emulator is you're kind of degrading the performance, and you're introducing some complexities. With some customers, we learned that with emulators, they weren't always able to run every game that they wanted with the customer experience that, the CX bar that they wanted to deliver. And so some ingenious customers to get around that were kind of pairing the G4DN instances with the C6G instances. So now you have twice the number of instances and some additional complexities just to get to the desired, and not to mention additional costs just to get to the desired customer experience bar that they had set.
In essence,
on that note, Christian.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
No.
We have a question from Sylvie82. It's a related sort of question, so I jumped in. But can this be used for like a heavy workload in film production? Like rendering, rigging, and things like that. Interesting question.
Right. Yeah. So this depends on the exact requirements, but like every other GPU-based instance, these instances can handle graphic-intensive workloads such as rendering. Now the question becomes, what applications are you running to use those to get those renderings, and do those applications support the Linux Arch 64 architecture?
Yeah.
So if there's support that's built into those applications, then yes. If not, this is where it becomes more challenging. That said, there are the open source graphics libraries like Vulkan and OpenGL that they do support and run on G5G instances.
That's wonderful. And it's again, I think one of the core parts here is that this is running on a Graviton 2 instance, right? So it's, in essence, you get, I don't know, maybe you can tell us about the numbers, right? When we talk about the Graviton instances, you get 40% more performance per value, whatever. How does it scale here? What is the, how do you put this in a price perspective?
Right. So what and some of the pricing depends on how you architect your solution, right. But let's compare it to the G4 DN instances. Right. So you can get anywhere, the cost savings can be anywhere between 20 to 40%, and even higher if you were trying to get the highest customer experience bar when you were combining both the G4DN and the C6G instance.
Right. So now we have GPUs here. Again, it's a Graviton instance, so it's an ARM-based instance. If your application, if your workload needs a GPU, but it can also run on an ARM CPU, this can be a potential cost savings for you. I cannot talk about GPUs without mentioning machine learning. Have you seen, or do you see customers using these kind of instances for machine learning jobs and machine learning projects?
All right. Yeah. So I will answer that question. I think Alma might have some more stuff to demo.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. So these instances come with support from our deep learning Omnis and also from the popular machine learning frameworks like PyTorch and TensorFlow.
Okay.
NVIDIA also has an Omni for this. But what we see where customers really are excited about this is where the endpoint of their application in the real world is running on ARM, such as these autonomous vehicle simulation or perception systems. And so what they want to do is they want to be able to take real world data signals, run those both in vehicle, and then also take those same signals and then run it in simulation in the cloud, leveraging the scale of the cloud, to then better refine their algorithms or to test their planning systems and so on. So yeah, this is where most of the ML customers right now are interested in for G5G instances.
Excellent. Did you have anything more to show us? Because I see that you have switched off the demo, or that was the demo.
That was the major part of the demo.
Okay,
just wanted to add one additional point that, one of the key things that we see also in this instance from a machine learning context is the ability to run ML inferencing. So generally not targeted towards ML training, but for ML inferencing can play a big role in scaling out that ML inferencing endpoint, whether it's in the cloud or on the edge. That could be something that G5G can play in with regard to running this type of instance type.
Awesome. And are these instances available right now? Are they generally available? Can people start using them now?
Yeah, you can either launch them through the command line interface or in the AWS console. These instances are available right now in 5 regions. So US, North Virginia, Oregon, and then in Asia Pacific in Tokyo, Seoul, and Singapore.
Well, awesome. So if you are interested in running ARM-based instances with some GPUs on them, so remember 2 NVIDIA T4Gs, is that correct? Is that the name that I said? Yes, up to 2 NVIDIA T4G instances, T4G GPUs on it. Yeah. And if you want to do some stuff with, for example, Android games and the like, so make sure to check out the new G5G, or 6G, I guess. G5G instances on EC2. So Christian, Amr, thank you very much for being part of this. We're going to go now to a really quick, loud transition. And Sohan and I am going to come back and kind of have a chat. So thank you both. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. It was excellent.